The NFL Week 4 just wrapped up last night, so I'm going to give you my analysis and breakdown of all the primetime games and the Cowboys game. Okay, starting off first was the Seahawks and Cardinals game. This game was the debut of the NFL Rivalries program, with the Cardinals debuting their Desert Rivalries jerseys. They did a custom field, and this game picked up some steam at the end. The Seahawks got out to like a 20-3 lead, I think, or maybe a 17-3 lead. And the Cardinals came back. And this game came down to a last-second field goal, which resulted in, I believe, a 23-20 Seahawks win. JSN was kind of flipped. He had 0 fantasy points in the first half, I believe. And then all of a sudden the second half comes around and he puts up 10 fantasy points. So I would like to see more production out of JSN, considering he is on my fantasy team. So yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr. It's kind of everyone heading into this season was saying, oh, him and Kyler's connection is gonna be good. Oh, it's gonna be so good. But I haven't really seen that this year. Like, he dropped, I know, at least one pass on Thursday night, but he did have that amazing touchdown grab. So, I mean, it's kind of going to be a 50-50. And I think that's with most people. It all depends on the day and who they're playing. So that Seahawks defense was probably locking up Marvin Harrison Jr. because we know he can be that wide receiver one threat. But we have to keep in mind he's just in his second year. So, yeah, overall, pretty good Thursday night football game. Came down to a last-second field goal. It's what you want. You want an exciting game till the end. Okay, not much to say about that last game, but there is a lot to say about this game. Micah Parsons' return to Dallas. This game, in case you missed it, ended in a tie, 40-40. Here are some things I learned. The Cowboys do not have a defense, but neither do the Packers. Well, I don't quite know about the Packers, because it could just be that this Cowboys offense is the best I've seen in a long time. Keep in mind, this was without CeeDee Lamb and had Micah Parsons playing on the other side of the ball. CeeDee was so happy every time they flashed to him on the sidelines. Whether it was George Pickens making amazing catches, George Pickens running for touchdowns, Jalen Tolbert making a great catch at the end of the game to put us down there at the 5-yard line, I believe, in overtime. But yeah, the Packers, on the other hand, almost losing to us and then almost losing to the Browns. This Packers team, after starting 2-0 and looking like the best team in the NFL, is falling down in my power rankings, especially. I believe I have them number 6 this week, compared to being 2 weeks ago being number 1, I believe. So yeah, the Cowboys, another thing is Dak has kind of returned to MVP form from 2023. He's only thrown like 2 picks this year, and he's thrown a lot of touchdowns. He had a 40-point game. Well, the Cowboys put up 40 points in their game against the Giants. They put up 40 points in their game against the Packers. And this is going to be a powerful offense for weeks to come, as long as all the offense can stay healthy. This Cowboys run game just continues to impress me. Javonte Williams wasn't as impressive as the first 3 weeks, but he still did impress compared to what we had last year. Javonte Williams is, I feel like, the best thing that has happened to the Cowboys running game, really, since those couple years of Ezekiel Elliott in 2016 and the 3 years beyond that, before Elliott really started to fall off in the 2020s. But this Cowboys run game has returned, no doubt. And I really did feel like George Pickens really stepped up and said, you know what? CeeDee's out. I'm going to go put up a 25-plus fantasy point game and put up, I believe, a pair of touchdowns and 134 receiving yards. Really a great game from this Cowboys offense. But the defense, that first drive, the Packers had that long pass to Matthew Golden, and I was like, here we go again. This defense is garbage. But then they settled in. The run defense which impressed me the week 1, did not show up on Sunday night. Josh Jacobs, no matter if it was Josh Jacobs or the Packers' backup running back, they were running all over us. And I think that is one thing the Cowboys do need to address, whether that's at the deadline or maybe it's heading into next season. I don't know what kind of free agents will be out there in terms of run stoppers and pass rushers. So we'll see. But I do think that is something the Cowboys need to address as soon as possible. Christian Wilkins is there. Not sure if you want to put him in your locker room. And that's really it. I mean, there's not a lot of free agents there. But yeah, that's Sunday Night Football. 40-40 tie. Another thing I did think was bad. Why are ties a thing in the NFL? Like, I know that the NFL doesn't want us to stay up till 3 in the morning trying to decide a winner on a regular season game. But you can at least say, you know what? Be like college football. I believe college football says we're going to line you up at the 20-yard line, 25-yard line. You're going to have 4 downs to punch it in like you're driving down the field. If you don't, other team gets it on the 25. That's perfect. And you have games, you have so exciting games. You have 4 overtimes, 2 overtimes. And that makes the regular season in college football somewhat fun. And I think that's because college football has they used to have a, 3-game playoff, but now they expanded it. But that's college football. We're on NFL. Okay, our next game is the second team to wear their rivalry jerseys, the Miami Dolphins. They wore their blackout jerseys, rivalry jerseys, and they ended up getting the win 27-21. And this Dolphins offense and defense finally showed up. We've been waiting on it. But one big blow for that Miami offense. Tyreek Hill was announced today. He broke multiple ligaments in his knee and tore his ACL. So they're questioning whether he is going to be back for the 2026 season. And if he's not, that's the end of his career, I feel like. He's 32 at the beginning of next season. And that's usually the age where the Odells, the D Hops, Antonio Brown, if we want to get into him, and all those people start to decline. And I think that is going to be no different. We've already seen the decline starting happening as of last season with Tyreek Hill. 2023 was his last good year where he almost had that 2,000 yards. And, I mean, that's a huge. Jalen Waddle is going to have to step up. I have his rivalry jersey, so I'm glad to cheer him on as he assumes that wide receiver 1 role. And Tua was actually playing pretty good on Monday night. But the Jets, this team, we saw last week against the 3-0 Buccaneers at that time that they were going to stay in the game with some teams. We saw against the Steelers in week 1. They're going to stay in the game with some teams. They did stay in this game as it was a 1-score game. The Jets just need to work on finishing 1-score games. They get there, and they're competitive throughout the game, and we think they're going to win. But what they end up doing is selling the game away, whether that's a last-second field goal, last-second touchdown, or something. But this Jets team, looking like another abysmal year for the Jets. Now we have our final Monday Night Football game of the doubleheader, the Bengals and the Broncos. This game ended up by a score of, I believe, 28-3. So, luckily Tom Brady wasn't broadcasting this game. I know, 28-3. Gotta throw it out there. But this Bengals team, without Joe Burrow, they are looking like absolute garbage. And it makes me start to wonder, is Joe Burrow the only reason the Bengals even are in contention for the AFC North? Is he really that big of a factor? Because although they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league, they sure haven't looked like the best wide receiver duo in the league the past 2 weeks. Or the past couple weeks. That has looked like, in my opinion, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. No bias to the Cowboys whatsoever. Totally not. Although CeeDee Lamb's been out, George Pickens, like I said earlier, has been balling out. And I do not think that is something that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins have been doing. But, and that on top of that, this defense is absolutely garbage for the Bengals. Like, you thought the Cowboys defense was bad. At least they have an offense to back it up. The Bengals are exactly like the Cowboys. When their quarterback's healthy, they have an explosive offense and a terrible defense. The Cowboys, same exact thing. When their quarterback's healthy, they have an explosive offense and a terrible defense. And I think that's the identity for the Cowboys and the Bengals. But this Bengals team, when they lose Joe Burrow and when the Cowboys lose Dak Prescott, if at any point like they did last year, these two teams are going to be 100% out of the playoffs. Because from what I've seen the last 2 weeks, whether it was last week against the Vikings with a score of 48-10, or this week against the Broncos with a score of 28-3, this Bengals team needs some help. And I think they're in number one pick contention if Joe Burrow stays out. I believe he's only out 3 months, though. So he'll be back in December, most likely. But at that point, with the way it's going, I wouldn't be shocked if you're heading into December at like 2-8 or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose out till Joe Burrow comes back. Because they can't get Jamar Chase the ball. They can't get T. Higgins the ball to even score a touchdown. It doesn't even matter if they would have traded Trey Hendrickson or had Trey Hendrickson. Because this team is just so bad and so many questions. But on the other side of the ball, not much to talk about with the Broncos. I mean, they went out, they took care of business. Bo Nix had a great performance, a rushing touchdown, and I believe 2 passing touchdowns. Pretty good night since I was starting him in fantasy, was cheering him on. I also was starting J.K. Dobbins. He had like 11 fantasy points, I believe 100 yards and a touchdown, or just 100 yards. I don't know. But yeah, solid night from the Broncos. Not so good night for the Bengals. Okay, now for some questions heading into week 5. My first question is, can the Jackson Dart era get off to an even better start in New York? As you know, the Giants won against the Chargers this past Sunday by a score of 21-18. Keep in mind, the Giants were 0-3 heading into this game, and the Chargers were 3-0. And it was Jackson Dart's first game as the starter. Jackson Dart looked really good, and if he can maintain this heading into week 5, this Giants team, he could pull them back into a playoff spot and maybe even take them far in the playoffs. It will just be a matter of what can Jackson Dart do, and can he stay healthy? I know he had that one point in the preseason where he didn't slide, had to go into the medical tent. If he does that again, it's back to Russell Wilson or even Jameis can come off the bench at any point. My next question is, how do the Browns perform this week in week 5? It has been rumored that the Browns are leaning towards starting Dillon Gabriel for this week, as they have dropped to, I believe, 1-3 after week 4. And Dillon Gabriel, considering how Joe Flacco's played these first 4 weeks, we'll see if Dillon Gabriel can be any better. The Browns are coming off of a 35-10 loss against the Lions, I believe. But hey, they won against the Packers in week 3, so at least they got something to their name. I predicted the Browns to go 1-16, and that prediction's looking pretty good if they lose out, which I think Dillon Gabriel is capable of doing. But if he does that, they may turn it over to Shedeur Sanders to close out the season, maybe. But that's weeks in the future. Keep in mind, Shedeur is the quarterback 3 in that room. So it might be a while till he starts. My next question is, what is going on with the Panthers? Last week they blew out the Falcons, right? 30-0. This week they got blown out by the Patriots. But the Falcons also won this week against Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. So are the Panthers a team that's going to blow out people like the Falcons, the Saints, the Dolphins, the Vikings? And are they going to get beat by people like the Commanders, the Jags, the Patriots, the Bears, and those mediocre teams? And what happens when they play the powerhouses? Because if they lose 42-6 to a Patriots team that is like sort of in the hunt for a wild card spot, holy cow. If the Panthers play Josh Allen, or if they play the Buccaneers this season, which they do, holy cow. That game is going to be an absolute snooze fest. And so, yeah, that is really all the questions I have. Oh, one more thing. My final question is Cam Ward even still in contention for Offensive Rookie of the Year? The Titans lost 26-0 to the Houston Texans this past week, and Cam Ward had some very interesting comments to say after the game, and very much I would probably say the same things. Like this Titans team, Cam Ward could be good if he was put in a system like the Giants. Well, maybe not the Giants. If he was like JJ McCarthy and got put into the Viking situation with Justin Jefferson. Or maybe if he was put in to who else? Oh, great. Well, you get the point. If he was put into any other situation, they might be 1-3 or 2-2. But this Titans team is still looking for their first win in the Cam Ward era. He's shown some flashes, but flashes don't get you to the playoffs. Flashes get you to a 5 to 10 pick draft pick, but they don't get you anywhere other than that. I think this Titans team is in panic mode here. I don't think they're ready to move on from Cam Ward. What I do think they need to be ready for is to move on from Brian Callahan, their head coach. Because last year, they got the number 1 pick, and they had Will Levis as their starter. This year, after seeing what people like Jaden Daniels did, CJ Stroud did, they were expecting, I expected them. I said, you know what? This Titans team has a quarterback. And I literally projected the Titans to go 9-8 and win their division. Well, that's going great. And this team just needs some serious help. But yeah, those are my questions heading into week 5, and that is it for my week 4 analysis and breakdown of the primetime games and the Cowboys game. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.